Adam, thanks for being with me today.
Hello,
Wait,
how
I
are
can
you?
do that again. Let me do it again. Hi,
I
Adam.
reached my finger in.
Yeah, that's okay. We'll start from a clean place. Here we go. Hi, Adam. Thank you for being with me today.
Hello, how are you?
I'm well, thanks. Start by introducing yourself and saying a little about what where you're coming from, where you're standing.
My name is Adam Davies. I'm a library assistant here at Cumberland Public Libraries. I normally work in the Amherst headquarters office. I live in Pugwash, and I have a deep appreciation for Cumberland County. And I've been working as a library assistant for about 18 years now.
Well, that's great. Thank you for the work that you do. I love libraries and everyone who works to make them, a place of incredible access for all our communities. When you look at the what's happening right now in Nova Scotia and with the Financial Measures Act and the cuts that are proposed, what has been going through your mind? What concerns you?
My concern is that libraries, I'm not sure if lucky is the right word to use, but we received status quo funding yet again. And it's been about 5, 6 years of ongoing status quo funding at about 16.4 million with 500,000 library development fund. Here in Cumberland, that comes out to about 800,000 out of that 16.4. And we have a larger provincial funding rather than municipal. Municipalities come in at about, for Cumberland County, it's about 16%, and Amherst is about 7.5%. So the province is our largest funder. But status quo funding, as we know, flat funding lands hardest on the smallest regions, and we're one of the smallest regions. So we have, in the past 5 years, really been trying to do more with less, and it's now getting to the point where really tough decisions have to be made. We've made tough decisions before, but there was always kind of an emergency or top-up funding that kind of alleviated some of the pinch. Right now, we're hearing from the department that there will be no emergency or top-up funding coming through. Other journalists have kind of reported on that. And so now we've started the process here with headquarters staff. I'm one of the people who are seeing my hours worked reduced by 10%, so about 3.5 hours a week or one day in 10. There's about 8 of us who have been affected in headquarters staff. That's going to have a detrimental effect on the whole system. But we also know that with no other funding coming in, that's the first wave of other cuts and reductions that will have to be made. So it's a on the one hand, we're very grateful, I think, in the libraries that we weren't cut. I look at some of my colleagues in the arts and culture and the heritage sector who have been absolutely devastated, and my heart goes out to them. On the other hand, it is kind of a relief of trying to figure out how we're going to live within the new funding envelope, because one of the things that I hope people appreciate is that this current budget has clearly telegraphed that there are years 2 and 3 in this budget are going to be just as devastating, if not more so. And that's kind of the concern going forward, is how do we prepare for the funding envelope that we've been given, and what can we reduce that's going to keep libraries viable, but we know that some services are going to have to be eliminated or reduced.
That flat funding, just to help people understand like why it's not a win to not receive a cut,
Yes.
is because the cost of everything else is increasing. The cost of living is increasing, the cost of power is
Yes.
increasing, the cost of everything is increasing. So everything the library does, it's doing with the same budget, but against a backdrop of ever increasing costs. That's why we
Yes.
have to
We
do
think of
less.
Yeah, we think of publishing costs that have increased. The other one that we've had in Nova Scotia is we've had minimum wage increases, but those weren't funded by the government. So those kind of came in as absolutely we should be raising minimum wages, but it wasn't properly funded. So that came out of what a lot of other library systems are doing. You dip into your cash reserves, you cut back on some of the things. We've had here in Cumberland a reduction in buying new books. So we're going to be a little bit more discretionary in the new books that we buy, and that has a knockdown effect that we won't be able to get something like James Patterson in all formats like we once did, which was audiobook, large print, and regular print. Now we may just get in one format, and we may have to share it through Same Page with some of the other libraries across the province. So it's really going to affect how our library users and our library patrons engage with us. And this is going to be one that there will be very noticeable reductions coming through.
Can you talk a little about the range of ways that libraries serve Nova Scotians, especially in smaller jurisdictions?
In smaller jurisdictions, I know it's kind of almost cliche to hear, but a lot of our public libraries do end up as community hubs or palaces of the people. We're providing a tremendous amount of services. It's not just entertainment, but we're providing a social cohesion. We're providing a free place for people to just come and socialize, and that's through puzzles. The amount of access that we have to information and literacy is tremendously high. It's also that we should be commenting on the fact that public libraries are still distributing COVID tests. When I'm working on the desk here in Amherst or in Pugwash, people are always coming and asking for COVID tests. It hasn't gone away. That started in COVID and that's continued. We've also been used here in public libraries to help with food distribution when certain grants came through that you could buy food and distribute. And it became an add-on to what other organizations were doing in the community. But here in Cumberland, if you're in a place like River Hibbert or Parsboro or especially Advocate, you're the only one providing that food service or the only one that's always there providing that food service. So especially in rural areas, libraries are taking on, yes, the entertainment and the social structure and the social cohesion, but there's a lot of other skill development. One of the big things we see in libraries at the moment, the amount of people coming in to get work permits and that information either photocopied or faxed in. So we're doing a lot with new arrivals to the province, helping them get work permits and helping them get established. And it's one of those services that has just grown within libraries. It's not always appreciated of just how important that is, but it is one that all of our branches in Cumberland County are participating in that, and the need is certainly there.
Wow. I really did think I knew what happened in libraries, but the food piece and the work permits piece was not on my radar at all. That
The other one, sorry, the other one we have at the moment is we have a lot of people coming in for tax information. So it is submitting tax information. Can I fax this in? We have a lot of library users who are signing on to computers to do scanning to get information through. And we also have people coming in for travel documents, you know, the itinerary and everything else. So printing is still a huge part of what libraries do.
And this is really intrinsic, right? We think of like libraries as the, what do people call them? Like a third space. It's not your home and it's
Yes.
not work. It's not a commercial place that you go to. It's this other space that is just, it's free, it's accessible, it's for everyone, and it's for the public benefit.
Yes, and welcoming. I highlight that as libraries are incredibly welcoming. So it's accessibility is certainly there, but the staff is they're always eager to help you with whatever you're looking for. A very talented staff, and we have very talented librarians. So it's everything from genealogical research to how do I do this? How do I find this? Where's this information? So it's a whole complex web of services that are provided. And again, it is the free aspect and it is the very welcoming. One of the great things we have here in Amherst, and I see this every day, is we have people waiting to get into the library just for that social engagement of adults doing a puzzle together. And they're just, no one's bothering them. They're just kind of coming in, they're doing their own bit, they're kind of building their own social community, their own social group. And at the end of the day, they just go home and we wait to see them the next day.
Oh, that's really beautiful. That's so vital. That's such a vital part of community. And you mentioned that kind of that web, and the web is something I'm so interested in these conversations that I've been having, because as an artist and an arts administrator, I do really perceive this like invisible web, right? The sort of
Yeah.
like the underground network, the mycelium network of the ways in which like all the work that all of our organizations are doing is so connected, and it's illegible, I think, in many ways if you're outside of it, or if you don't work in it. If you're
Yes.
never inside of it, that web is like lifting us all,
The, the,
holding us all.
The web, and it's such an interesting one because one of the things that public libraries have stepped into is when I first started 18 years ago, we very rarely took in self-published material. We kind of had a bias against it. Now, self-published material is widely available in the collection. But the interesting thing is that we have authors who their books are coming into our collection here in Cumberland. Through Same Page, we can share it across the province. Rancho Library alone, we can share it across the country. We become much more engaging with especially the writing community. We have a lot of writers coming into libraries and doing author readings. We have author signings. We've done workshops where last year you could go across Cumberland County and visit 4 different authors. We're going to each branch and just kind of talking about how you get published and what it's like to self-publish. The other thing is that we've had a lot of really young authors who are seizing upon the opportunities to come into branches like Pugwash and go into the community room on a Saturday morning and talk about their books with a very engaged audience, and also sell books. And that's the great thing about libraries is we can kind of be that first audience for a lot of self-published or local authors, but we can also give a platform for that material to be more widely known.
I really love that. I mean, that just actually makes me cry a little bit as a writer myself
Oh,
who's been so beautifully supported by libraries. In my first book, the Spring Garden Road, the old Spring Garden Road Library was a major setting in my first book. It's where I wrote most of that book. When I moved to
yes.
Halifax in 1996, just on a whim with like a couple $1,000s in my bank account and no real plan, which is how I make all the big changes in my life, it
Yep.
seems. I went to the Spring Garden Road Library every single day. I would get up and I would
Fantastic.
just
Yep.
walk to the library and I would read, I would write, I would think, I would listen to what
Yep.
other people were talking about. And it was just the most, like, such a magical time in my life as a newcomer to Nova Scotia and somebody who was like
Yep.
determined to make a life here, being able to be in that library and feel really supported by it at every stage of my development and my career as a writer and as a communicator in Nova Scotia. A library has been part of that and has been there for me. You know, now my
Yep.
festival presents all kinds of programming at the Spring Garden Road Library, the new one. And so that like full arc feels really I just can't think of another venue for that, another
Absolutely.
organization
And
or
the comfort.
outlet. Yeah,
Yeah.
the comfort of it.
The comfort is that our library spaces, in addition, as we said, to being accessible, are really comfortable spaces. Is that you can engage as much as you want. Usually, people are going to let you do your own thing, and you can explore our. We have extraordinary collections. We have a great. The one thing I love is we have a DVD collection, and the number of library users we have coming in and just taking out DVDs that they're free to take out. All you need is a library card. You take them home, and we have people who are steadily working through our entire collection. It's such a great thing because it's a great conversation afterward. They'll tell you this very obscure movie. We do have a lot of obscure movies that are in our collection. We have the popular ones, but we do have some obscure ones that have crept in as well. And it's nice to just when people discover them and then they're talking about it, and it's very engaging and very comfortable.
I just love that. And you could spend 6 or 8 hours in the library and nobody's going to like toss you out. Nobody's going to insist that you buy another
Yep.
coffee or that these are not, laptop hours or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's a space that is it's just for community. It's for people.
Exactly, exactly, and we have as we're it kind of expanding because one of the things that libraries are moving into is creating communities, and one way to describe it is we have a stitchery club that basically operates in all branches across Cumberland County. That's a pretty tremendous community of people bringing in the knitting that they're working on, and just having a space where you can talk about it. You can get people to help you, and it's a craft community, and people take it very seriously. But it runs alongside some of our book clubs. Another community that we have built in libraries is Once Upon a Time, where we have parents coming in with very young children, and there's singing and dancing, and it's a partnership that is done with Maggie's Place here in Amherst. But there's singing and dancing. I've done it a few times, so I do apologize for the terrible singing that these children have to endure. But the point is, we have them in the library and we're engaging with them. So
Your heart is in it, and that's what
my
matters, Adam.
heart is in it. Absolutely. I'm passionate about it. So
It's so beautiful. You know, one of the things that I'm really thinking about a lot as I have these conversations with Nova Scotians, um, I'm just thinking about the the cynicism of this budget and the ways in which the premier is talking about, we have to do the things that will generate more revenue.
Yes.
Um, and a library is never going to be one of those. It's just not
No.
going to generate
No.
revenue. The same way that a highway doesn't generate revenue, or police don't generate revenue, or ambulances don't generate revenue, and nor should they. Um, and so I just wonder, like, what do you think about that, or what goes through your mind when you think about like the value that libraries are bringing to the lives of Nova Scotians and how to measure that, I guess. This government is kind of obsessed
I
with measuring things. So how do you measure it?
I measure it in how people talk about the library and what community thinks of the library. And I think of when I think of measures of success, I think of maybe in Pugwash when someone says, "Hey, we need to have a meeting about something," and the first thing they think of is the library. They have a great meeting spot in Pugwash. That's where they want to go, and so it's already. I appreciate that of how it's already built into communities to be thinking of that. On the other hand, I think of the very talented librarians that we have that are working on things like community engagement and really getting groups that are doing important work in our communities, but thinking, okay, the library can help with this. We can compile the resources. We can provide the meeting space. We can provide certain skills that librarians have. And I'm thinking specifically of librarians on things like AI literacy, on some of those larger, how you curate a collection, how you manage detail, how you manage information. And it's one that it hasn't been properly funded in the province. We haven't moved libraries into that space yet, but it's one that certainly gets talked about. And the early forms of that are already starting to take root. It's one of those things that as we look at libraries are always changing. And I can't emphasize that enough, is that libraries keep pace with societal change. And this is one that, because of the funding issues, is a little bit harder for libraries to keep pace with. We should be talking about AI. We should be talking about the consequences that has for publishing, the consequences that has for mis, dis, and malinformation. And it's hard when it's status quo funding, but
It's
we'll
kind
get
of
there,
amazing.
hopefully.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
amazing to me really the various levels at which the library is working, like from a place where people can come and do their knitting and get help with their knitting, to
Yeah.
a space where libraries are responding to like the most urgent and emergent issues in our culture and how we interact with each other, like the threat, or some people would say opportunity. I'm falling on the threat side of AI because we're using it
Yeah.
in this way that we like have not had slowed down and had a cultural conversation about, what's best for us. And the idea that the library, which again and again, as I'm listening to you talk about it, I'm thinking about the experiences that I've had with such helpful librarians and library staff who um, go above and beyond, or what feels above and beyond to me, because I'm so used to operating in capitalism where everybody wants something for
Yes.
something.
Yeah.
And at the library, they're just there to help. And it is such a wild feeling to be in that environment. It's so refreshing and it's so nourishing. Um, Libraries really are punching well above their weight in terms of like
Yes. Yeah.
just social cohesion
Yes.
and building a civil society.
Absolutely, and the one of the big topics coming in is important for libraries because that shapes what we're putting in our collections. And one of the issues, and it's one of these discussions that happens in libraries, is should we be buying books that are AI written or have AI polishing on it? And that is one that gets into topics of intellectual freedom and artistic freedom, which are very forefront in how libraries are operating. But it's also one that we have to have those conversations with the wider community. Is that if we identify a book as being written by AI, are we putting our thumb on the scale in a proverbial sense? Is, does that violate intellectual freedom? At the same time, there are very good uses of AI that libraries can talk about. And I think there's fantastic work being done. I think of Acadia University has a program where it's an introduction to AI. And it's one that we can share that information amongst our own users who are asking that question and those same questions, and kind of getting the information out there. So it's that conduit effect, is that libraries have, we can see a whole bunch of things happening around us. And when we're in a really good spot, we can be a conduit to move that information and to move that thinking into other groups and into other communities and giving it access to everyone.
I can't think of another instrument in our society that is doing what libraries do and can do.
Oh, it's incredible. The power of libraries is just extraordinary, and we have to appreciate it more. And we have to think of the funding. Status quo funding is not going to keep all of these services and all of these programs and all of this staff going. So we have to kind of rethink value or reevaluate our appreciation for libraries and get more people talking about them. I love talking about libraries. We just need more people getting in the conversation. So.
I would I loved talking to you about libraries. This is undoubtedly going to be the best part of my day. So thank you so much, Adam, for giving me some of your
Oh,
time
I
today.
appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.